Welcome to the Cash Confident Podcast. I'm Brie Sedano, your fearless host, personal finance expert, and the visionary behind the revolutionary Cash Confident community. Get ready to embark on an electrifying journey where we redefine the rules of money and empower women to harness the immense power to craft the life they truly, truly desire. This podcast is the ultimate resource, meticulously crafted for women who are ready to unleash their financial prowess and embrace a life of abundant success. We leave no stone unturned as we delve into the depths of money management, mindset mastery, and the undeniable influence of emotions on your financial decisions. Prepare to rise above the societal limitations and break free from the chains that have held you back as we equip you with the tools and knowledge to make bold, confident choices with your cash. We believe that true financial power begins with knowledge, and that is exactly what we deliver. So buckle up, my fierce and ambitious friends, as we embark on this transformative journey to becoming cash confident together. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cash Confident Podcast. Today we are talking about when is it time, when am I ready to take the leap of faith from a side hustle to a full-time business? And this is a question that I get relatively often, and I will tell you, I'm going to go through some of the things that I work with on clients, but it's not exactly a perfect linear process. It's not exactly a situation that there's I could check these 4 things off. Well, let's go ahead and do it. It depends on situationally. So for example, situationally, if you're a single mom, your situation is going to be different than if you have a spouse that can float the household expenses for a few months. Or if you have savings or if you don't have savings, right? There's different situations. So I'm going to just go through some of the things to look at, the things to consider, and some just tips for getting to the place where you can take the leap of faith. All right. So, in one of my last episodes pretty recently, we talked about side hustles and starting side hustles. And most of the people who start side hustles actually have a secondary hope of being able to work full time in their own business or for themselves. And here are the things to consider about that. So there's the income, right? So that's a factor, right? Most people want to be able to replace their income, by starting their business. I will tell you that, it does happen, but it's pretty few and far between that somebody with a side hustle can fully replace their income from their job before they take the leap of faith. It does happen, but it's a little bit rare. Most of the time for people I see, there's a financial gap, right? So it's going to be that's the leap of faith. It's oh, I'm going to do this. There is a gap. I recognize the gap and I'm going to cross the gap, right? So that's the leap of faith. The other things to consider are health insurance and, any other benefits that you get. Health insurance is a big one, especially if you're in a situation where you really need health insurance, where health insurance is something that you use, so that's a place where you can start to look. Most states have an exchange, right? When they passed Obamacare, there's exchanges where you can buy your own health insurance. And most jobs do offer a thing called COBRA, where you can pay. It's generally pretty pricey, but where you can pay out of pocket for the health insurance that you had through your past job for a period of time. So that's a place where people sometimes will get stuck and too afraid to take the leap of faith around the health insurance because they're I really need health insurance. And we have these ideas that health insurance is wildly expensive. And health insurance can be wildly expensive, but depending on your income and the amount of people that live with you, sometimes it can be affordable. So anyways, that's a place where if that's a hang up for you, you want to talk to somebody, you want to look on the exchanges, you want to see what's available to you. though there is an additional challenge around health insurance on the exchanges, because they want to know how much money you make. And if you're just starting a business, it's difficult to say. It's difficult to say. And then they're going to, it's a little scary when they're like, all right, well, if you make more money than this, you're going to owe us your tax credit back, And so there's a little bit of that, just so you're aware of it. So those are some things just to get yourself together, start looking at the information, what's the total value, beyond just my paycheck value. Then we want to get crystal clear on what is your base level necessities, and then what's above that. And I'm talking for your business expenses and for your personal expenses. You need to have that number clear, crystal clear, so that way you know where to set your financial your financial standard of this is the bare minimum of money that I can make to float at all of my expenses for the month. And then this is my ideal standard, and this is above my ideal standard. So we do need to have crystal clarity around the finances. And during a period of the leap of faith, which will probably last, a couple of months, a few months, maybe even a year, depending on what kind of business you're doing, you want to maintain that crystal clarity. You want to keep your eye on your expenses. You want to be very judicious in taking on new expenses. You want to make sure that if you're investing in your money in your business, you can see how you would get a return on investment. And you want to maintain crystal clarity on those personal expenses, so that way you can see the way the money flows. I do suggest, when you're starting a business that is becoming a legit business, to really separate out your business finances from your personal finances, and then take the draw, or take a salary, or take a paycheck, however you discuss that with your accountant is going to be best for you. But keeping those expenses separate and clean is very helpful. And the reason is because if there's ever a problem, you know where to look for it. Here's what I mean. So I had a client once, and she had maybe 3 different businesses, maybe 8 different bank accounts, credit cards all over the place. And there was a spending problem. There was a spending problem in this woman's life. And it took me probably 3 meetings with her and months of backtracking to figure out, is the problem in the real estate business, and is the problem in the main business, is the problem in the personal life? Where is this overspending coming from? Is it adjustable? Do we need to make more money? And it was such a tangled situation that it took us a very long time and a lot of effort to be able to even suss out, all right, we're overspending in the business on these things. We can cut this back, but really the bulk of the overspending is happening in the personal life, and what needs to change here to keep this all, copacetic. So I do suggest that when you're at a place where you're taking that leap of faith, that you do separate your business savings, your business checking, if you have business credit cards, and that you use those things solely for business expense, and then you pay yourself. And then from there, you pay your personal expenses, you save your personal money, and you do that separately. And your accountant should be able to help you with that as you take the leap of faith. So from a business perspective, there are some things that when I'm working with people that I'm going to want to see that they have in place before I would ever be like, what you should do, quit your 9 to 5, right? One, I'm going to see that they have a reliable source of leads. Because that is the place where the money comes in. And I'm going to want to see that source of leads could be expanded upon. So let's just say, for example, you have a business and it's all word of mouth, friends and family. Unless you have so many leads that you are in your side hustle that you are turning business away, I would be very reluctant to be like, you know what you should do? Quit your job. Because that source of leads it's not that it's unreliable per se, but it's not something that you could just turn the heat up on. You can't just turn up your ad spend on something like that. So you want to make sure that your business, that you have enough leads coming in, and that or even if you're adding in additional lead sources, that those methods make sense and that you can count on them well enough to like quit your job. You know what I mean? Like, so that's it. So I want to see that you're going to have a reliable source of leads, and that source of leads is something that you could expand upon. All right. Then I'm going to want to see that you have a reliable sales process and that money is coming in, regularly, that your sales process is effective, that it's working. It depends on what kind of work you're doing. If you're sending proposals, if you're sending estimates, if, you just have prices, I'm going to want to see that you know how to sell, and not just to super warm people who came in, friends and family. Like, I'm going to want to know that you can effectively close a sale. All right. Then I'm going to want to look at your pricing and be like, at the prices that we're charging, can you reasonably expect to replace this salary and like eat food? That's going to be very important. So we're going to want to make sure that your pricing makes sense. And if you have to drastically increase your price to be able to make this make sense, that often requires a change in messaging. So that's another place that we have to be careful, because then our leads may not be effective anymore. If we were bringing in leads at one level and one price point, we need to raise our prices. We may need to change our messaging. All right. Then I want to be looking for solid deliverables. Can you deliver the things that you say? Because if you cannot, I would tell you not to, don't quit your job. Like, you want to make sure that you can do it, that makes sense, that, let me give you an example. So, at one point I had a client who was making, this was a hobby. It was a hobby. It wasn't even really a side hustle, but she was talking about taking her hobby of making canoes, out there. But she was hand doing these things. Even if she was making handmade canoes all day and night, for the price that she could sell a canoe, there would be no chance that she could quit her job. There wasn't she could not sell, she couldn't deliver enough canoes even if she could sell them all, she couldn't deliver them the way she was doing it. So that business was dead in the water. It would have not worked, without massive investment in team and, I guess like a woodworking equipment for said team. All right. So I want to see that you have deliverables. Then there is the issue. There are some intangibles. There are some intangibles that I will share that are things that I look for. So I want to see momentum. I want to see that you're taking actions, that you're getting results. Like, I want to see that you're not in a huge state of internal conflict. Like, I want to see that the bulk of your energy is going toward this. I want to see that you feel enthusiastic about it. Those are things that I would be looking for. And I want to see a level of confidence. Like, I know that I could do this. And it like a certainty, like I know that I could do this. And the reason that those things are really important is because it is scary as fuck to quit your job and be solely dependent on a business, especially if you require that money to live your life. Like, it is no joke on the nervous system. It is no joke on your mental faculties. And so where I'm going with this is momentum is most of our energy going in a single direction, right? But if we're in two different directions, that is a tough place to try to make something work from. Where if I really want this business to work and I am simultaneously so afraid that it won't, that I'm panicking, because it is very hard to do our job when we're in a state of panic, right? I want to see that there's actions being taken, because if there's no actions being taken, then I am nervous for you. Then I'm like, it seems like we're going to have to do some actual work if we want to make this make work. But if people are not doing their work, that's generally an indication of some blocked energy somewhere. It might be an internal conflict. It might be something, you know. So those are, and I want to see a level of certainty, because the temptation to quit is going to be real loud for the first couple months. Well, it could be. It's not like a guarantee, but it could be real loud. So you're going to need to be able to quiet that for yourself and just stay on your path. Which again is no joke to the mental faculties. It's no joke to the nervous system. It's no joke to the finances. So I'm looking for like the energetic and the mental and like the action level strength to stay on your path, even when it looks like it's not going to work, even when you're afraid that you're not going to be able to pay your mortgage, right? Like, so those are some things, that are more of like an internal place to check. So those are the things. So we went through the financial stuff. So I want to make sure that we have crystal clarity. I do want to make sure that you're at least, some of the way there, because here's why we have to take a leap of faith, is that most people in their business, let's just say you're making a set amount of money in your W-2 job, in your 9 to 5. And then you're able to make, let's say, half of that in, 10 hours or 20 hours a week after work. Well, when we free up that 40 hours, we should be able, and we direct that same focus toward the business, we should be able to make more money. So there's generally the place where I do not have enough time in the day. I do not have enough energy in my body to get all the way there to be able to quit this job. So that's the place where I have to take the leap of faith, right? So we want to make sure, that you're making some money, that you have crystal clarity, your numbers, you're like aware, like you've fully just examined the level of risk, and that you've examined, all right, like I have I have a spouse's income or spousal support. I have savings. What credit I have available. And like, you have to just ask yourself, like, am I willing to spend through the savings? Am I willing to use my credit to get this off the ground? Because when we do take the leap of faith, if we're beating ourselves up about money the whole way, it's just so much harder to get to the place where we can reliably replace that income. We want to consider things like the additional benefits that we lost, and make sure that you might not be able to buy health insurance the moment your business starts. You might not be able to start a 401k your first year, but we do want to make sure that if that's something that's important to you, that definitely gets worked into the numbers, worked into the budget, and things like that. Then from a business perspective, we want to see leads, sales, deliverables. We want to see systems. We want to see that the business is viable, that the model makes sense, that the model will work at the level of income that you want. Not all business models are made to get big, so that's another thing that you need to really check on. Well, if I needed to make twice as, not needed, but if I wanted to double my revenue, could I do it in this business model? Is a very good question to ask. And then we have the intangible things, like the focus. We want to make sure that the mindset, you don't need a perfect mindset to do this, but you need to have worked on it a little bit. Like, you don't need to be perfect to take the leap. I don't want to, that's not where we're going with it. But we want to make sure that we're consistently, reliably taking actions, that our energy is going toward the thing that we want, that there's some enthusiasm, that it looks good, it feels good for you, and that there's a level of certainty that that you could do it. There's a level of certainty, I'm going to be short on cash for a minute, but I know that this will work. I know in my being that I could do it. And I would say that certainty is that's a nice luxury. Not everybody gets that, but that's a thing that you at least want to be looking towards when we're taking this leap of faith. So there's not an exact time, right? But these are the things that I'm looking for, where if one of these things, if you don't have clarity about your money, I would be real reluctant to be quit your job. If you don't have a reliable source of leads, or you don't have a sales process, or you don't have good deliverables, if you don't have clarity around your money, if you don't have savings, credit, or spouse's income at all, you do not need, like, people do this on their own. Single moms start businesses, and there's just a lot of pressure. And if that's the case for you, you have to really look at yourself and be like, can I actually handle the pressure of this? Because the pressure is no joke. And you can if you can, but also you have to be kind to yourself and take care of yourself. So those are the things that I look for when somebody's talking to me about, do you think I could take this thing full time? Do you think it's viable? Those are the things that I look for. All right. I hope this was helpful. I hope that you are taking your businesses full time if that's what your sweet little heart desires. I love you. I appreciate you. And I will talk to you next week. It was my pleasure and joy to talk with you today. Thank you for listening. If you found value in our conversation, I kindly ask you to share the show with a friend who deserves to unleash her financial power. Your feedback is so valuable to me. So please take a moment to leave a review. Together we can amplify the message and bring more money into the hands of good women. For ongoing guidance and unwavering support on your financial journey, I invite you to join the Cash Confident community. Visit www.cashconfident.com/join to become part of our powerful community of women, where we uplift and inspire one another to reach new heights of financial success. Remember, you possess the power to shape your financial destiny, and with the Cash Confident podcast and the support of our remarkable community, you are unstoppable. Embrace your financial power, create the life you desire, and let's ignite a movement of cash confident women who are transforming the world $1, one decision at a time.